Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dirty Gaming and my second build of the league. And I've decided with all the buffs to the league and Vengaent Cascade, it was time to revisit the Lightning Strike Raider. It's a build I really enjoyed playing before the nerf hammer came down. And although it was still a good build, it probably wasn't as league start viable. So now I've got a bit of currency, I thought I would look at building it again. This is part one because I'm still not finished building the character. There is a lot I want to do to it. And this is probably the character I'm going to pump my currency into this league, to take it onto Ubers, Wave 30 Simulacrum, and just do everything. So it's going to be heavy in the investment. I've already spent a little bit of currency, probably 20, 25 divines on it. I've lost track, so if it ends up being 10 or it ends up being 40, well, it's definitely not 40. I don't have 40 divines, but it might be cheaper. I've just been buying stuff as and when I think it fits the build. All I've really done is looked at what made Lightning Strike fun for me when I used to play it, and then tweaked it for the current league. Now, there's a couple of things that have made it possible to switch our Ascendancy route round in Lightning Strike from what we used to run, and it adds a lot of speed to the build. So what I'm going to do is just go through my general thoughts of the build, how it works, what gear I'm going for, and then what upgrades I'm going to look to take further. So if we start with the gem links, makes sense. So I may as well start with the 6th link, and it's Vaal Lightning Strike, supported by Nightblade support, Awakened added lightning damage, Inspiration, LE damage with attacks, and Trinity. I don't run multi-strike, I absolutely hate it. For melee builds, I just find it locks in place too long and it makes the mapping slower. Single target, I've tested it, you get a tiny buff, but it's not worth the jankiness of mapping. If you're someone that enjoys multi-strike on your melee characters, then go for it. It's just not a gem I enjoy using. In terms of our auras, I've got an Enlighten, linked to Grace, Precision, and Anger. Eventually, it's going to be replaced by Determination once I get Armor and Evasion gear, because you get so much evasion from Raider naturally that actually, even without Grace, you're still going to be hitting 60 to 70% evade, and then you can get a good chunk of armor and phys mitigation in as well, but I'm not at that stage yet. So as you see, we're actually short quite a lot of gems because I don't really know what I want to do yet because I'm not sure what guard skill I'm going to run. So the only other links are a Whirling Blades linked to faster attacks with a Flame Dash if I get Grasping Vines. Got a Assassin's Mark, Mark on Hit, Life Tap support there. And then just Ancestral Protector and Multi-Totems. So plenty of spare sockets to do something with. I've not decided what it is yet because it is a work in progress. So the idea behind going Power Charges and the Frenzy Charge route is just to get speed. I do need some more damage because although mapping feels okay, I notice I'm often having to hit twice to kill enemies, which basically means it takes twice as long to map. But there's plenty of upgrades that I can do on this build. The amulet is Vengaent Cascade Anointed. I'm pretty sure it works for single target, or it certainly appears to from my playthrough. And essentially this just means that your lightning strike projectiles return to you and they pierce all targets on the way back. The good thing about the projectiles is they actually seem to go way past you as well. They return and then keep going. So if you hit here, you can see they go all the way back there. So the good thing about this is lightning strike, because it doesn't have chain or fork, you'll kill what's in front of you here, but you won't kill what's in front of you here. If I get surrounded by mobs and I hit, then my projectiles are going to go backwards through me and kill the enemies because they pierce every single target that they go through. And Lightning Strike doesn't need anything that relies on like an explosion when it hits, so it works really, really well. On the amulet, for now, I've just got attributes, crit, multi, and life. That's kind of all I needed for this stage. A good thing about Lightning Strike not being that popular is this helmet was cheap. This, when Lightning Strike was meta, we're doing about 10 divines. I picked it up for less than 1. We need this because otherwise you fire 3 to 4 projectiles and it feels pretty bad. With the enchant and one from the tree, I'm pretty sure we fire 6 projectiles, but I can't count because they keep returning. Yeah, 6 projectiles. And it's a Blizzard Crown because it adds a lot of cold damage. And then all it does as a downside is it treats cold resistance as higher than actual value. But actually that doesn't work out that bad because of the mastery that inverts enemy resistances. So on here, I've just looked for life and resistances, and then I've crafted Fizz taken as fire damage. The claw, I could get a better one, but it's quite expensive to buy one, and I'm not in the mood for crafting a project yet. So this is just a double elemental claw with big lightning damage, attack speed, and crit chance. And then on my tree so far, I've just got small added lightning damage and then some crit chance. Obviously need to work out the tree. I'm not sure yet whether I'm taking brittle or not. I'm probably not, because I think I can almost get crit capped eventually. And I really, really like chill and freeze. The shield, I need big elemental elements, big suppression, and then life resistances and whatever else I can get on the base. This was less than a divine, I believe, when I purchased it. Again, I'm still looking for a decent tree. At the moment, we've just got one that adds life and adds chaos resistance at the expense of LE res, but I'm overcapped on resistance anyway. At the moment, I'm running a taming. It's very hard to beat out this on a rare ring for damage, but you do lose out on life. If I end up needing to get non-channeling skills on another ring, or I feel like I could benefit from more life, I'll try and get a really big LE damage resistance ring to replace the taming, but at the moment it's just too good to drop. And then the other ring I crafted myself. So I bought the base, it was quite expensive. It was, I would think, 100 chaos to a divine. And then I basically spammed chaos in harvest until I've hit something decent, which is another resistance. And then I've crafted non-channeling skills. Before I crafted it, I did put 10 prismatic catalysts on it, which are 10C a piece, because I want to maximize the chaos resistance, because it can be difficult to fit into the build. So the chest is probably one I will keep because it's already armor and evasion base. It's got fairly decent armor and evasion rating, big life, and then fizz taken as fire and lightning. I literally just spammed essences of greed on this until I hit a chest that I liked. The gloves will definitely be upgraded because I want to get +2 strike, but at the moment it's additional accuracy, target one enemy. I've got fractured accuracy because accuracy can be a massive problem. Now you can't get precision up to 20 without using an enlighten. Now I have got an enlightening, I may not need this, but I'll probably keep it anyway because I think without it I'll probably only be at about 95% chance to hit. And then with this, again, I've just spammed ZL essences until I've hit something that's half decent. Again, this could be much better, but I want to wait to see what base I use. I might go for like an armor evasion base, which means I need to recraft them, so I don't want to spend any more currency on them at the moment. Running at Zeri's step, mainly for the suppression. Because as we'll come on to in a minute, I need suppression to counter ailment avoidance, and I haven't got it on the rest of my gear. Again, these will eventually be replaced by a big pair of rare boots. This is the item that cost me the most money. This was 3 to 4 divines. It is a Stygian Vibes with T1 life, T1 fire, T1 cold, elemental damage with attacks, and an open suffix to craft. It didn't have the resistance catalyst on it, so I've put them on again. They're 10C a piece, so it cost me 200 chaos to put these catalysts onto the belt. But this is a belt I'll never need to change unless I go Headhunter or I want to go at Mage Blood. The jewel cost a divine just because it's life, attack speed, and corrupted blood. So flask is just granite, jade, diamond, quicksilver, the ones I always use on attack builds. They could be rolled much better, but at the moment it's fine. So we're going to the tree, and this is where things get a bit different from the last time that I played Lightning Strike. So we're still sticking with the Lethal Pride with double damage and intimidate. We're using a cluster jewel to get power charges. So we've got Storm Rider, Disorientating Display, and Overshock. Overshock and Storm Rider were the only two I want. Overshock for much more shock, and then Storm Rider for power charges. But if you want Overshock in, you can only get Storm Rider at the back of the jewel. So I've had to travel 2 more spots to get it. I think this was 1 divine, possibly 2. No, it was 1 divine, this cluster jewel. And then we've got 2 crit mediums going off of it. I'm not sure on the best one at the moment. So I've got Pressure Points, which is definitely the best mod, which is chance to deal double damage and increase crit strikes. And here I've gone for increased crit chance if you haven't blocked, and I don't block that often. And then if we do, you get more crit multi. And then I've done the same on the other jewel. I've also here running an impossible escape for perfect agony, so I don't have to take all these nodes to path to multi-shot. I'm pretty sure that there's a setup I could do with a thread. I hope at the moment this was like 35 chaos, so I thought it's a cheap way to get these into the build. It also allows me to pick up 40% increased elusive effect and these projectile nodes here. I mean, it saves me 1 travel point. Essentially, this isn't massive. I could drop that if I get pierce elsewhere, but 3 pierce feels about right. This is a placeholder jewel. It's terrible because it's life and crit multi doesn't do a lot if we've got high elusive, but it's just a placeholder at the moment. I think I'm going to put in an Enduring Composure armor jewel to get some endurance charges into the build. And then here we've got the usual Watcher's Eye that I go for when you use precision, which is attack damage, and this was a divine. So that kind of covers off the tree other than the Ancestral Vision. So the reason I'm using this is Raider this league, these are actually not that great end game. Beginning, they're brilliant. End game, they give you spell suppression, which you can get elsewhere. Phase in, I do miss out on, but I could get it on kill. 50% chance to avoid early ailments, which I can get just by running that jewel. The big one normally for Raider is this 20% exposure, but because we get this node where every 4th hit, it inverts resistances, this is still good, but it's not as good as it was last league because every 4th hit you do, you're going to do more damage than if you had this exposure. Overall, it's more damage, but it's only about 6%. And last league that I ran Lightning Strike, it was about 12 or 13%, so it made it worthwhile running. What I thought I would do was stack spell suppression and evasion on my character, so I can just get him nice and quick. Get Onslaught, extra onslaught, evasion, and then all the juicy frenzy charge stacking. And that's what this duel's for. Essentially, it means I don't really have to get ailment immunity on my gear. I've got 20 down here, 30 from my shield. That means as long as I cap my spell suppression, I'm then ailment immune as well. So at the moment, I am a fair bit over. So we're 7% over, which is about 14% spell suppression over max. So if I can get spell suppression on my body armor or my helmet, I could drop these and actually craft a pair of boots with, you know, life resistances, get some implicits on there and just make it a bit better. But for now, it works really, really well. Not really done any of my Pantheons yet. I'm just running Burning Ground and an unleveled up Soul of Lunaris. And this is a character that I decided at the last minute I wanted to do, and it was super easy to level. Once you get access to things like Prism Weave, and you can put the Taming on at level 30, any elemental skill is going to absolutely melt the campaign. Then I just put on the 50% movement speed pair of boots, the 7 league steps, ran through the campaign in about 4 hours. And I think the character at the moment at level 90 is about 10 hours playtime. Unfortunately, I've sat AFK all day in this character because I've been selling stuff while I've been working. Oh, and it's still 12 hours and 52. So actually the playtime is probably less than 10 hours. That's the good thing about leveling a second character. If you plan it properly, it's super, super quick. I was in tier 16 maps as soon as I wasn't getting an XP penalty. So sort of level 75, 76. I was rushing through T16 maps. And my XP bar was showing about 700 million XP an hour. As you can see, even at level 90 running through these juice maps, I'm still 560 million XP per hour when I'm mapping. So you can get through really quick. As long as you plan a second character out, there's no reason you can't, let's say you play 3 hours a day, there's no reason that in 3 days you can't have a character up to level 90 and, you know, beating the bosses and doing some juice maps. So as I said, this is a character I'm going to take further. So I mentioned I'm going to put Determination in as an upgrade. May even go +2 strike and +1 maximum frenzy charges on the influence bases. There's lots of stuff I can do to add some damage. It would be good to get another mod on my Watcher's Eye, but it would be expensive. We could get like extra fizz damage mitigation or extra chance to evade with grace. Those two things would be really good, but at the moment they're super, super pricey. And there's other upgrades I could do. So I think the goal for this build eventually is to try and craft 1000 LE DPS Claw. With the introduction of the trees on the weapons, it's definitely a possibility. As long as you can get yourself a decent base weapon, it's then the RNG process of trying to get the right tree onto the claw. So I think the next step for me is get better trees on my gear. Like, this is good for now because the crit definitely helps. The lightning damage is so-so. It's like the second tier, I think. And the shield, again, helps with resistances. But on the shield, you can get some really good stuff. You can get big increase of shock. You can get lots of life, evasion, loads and loads of good stuff on shields. And the same with claws. There's lots of good stuff we could get on there. So that's going to be kind of the next couple of days once I've leveled to, say, 93, 94, and I'm happy at that level. It's going to be a case of just grinding Crucible to try and get some skill trees onto the weapon and the shield. So there was quite a bit of footage in the intro. But what I'll do is be quiet and give you a rest from my voice. And we'll just go and run a really quick map. Now, what I'll do, I'll put a couple of beach maps in because I want to do Delirium on it. And I don't force the mirror because I'm doing like a stream of consciousness setup at the moment. So we'll just go through and have a look. So this one, yeah, this one looks pretty juicy. So let's hope we can get Delirium on it. So I'm going to turn my mic off because I'm sure you're fed up of me talking. And then we'll run through the map showcase.
They are watching from this world. Can you feel them?
So that's how the build feels at the moment. I'm really, really enjoying it. If I can put up with the absolute mental screen clutter, then I am going to carry on. I've tried all the different Lightning Strike MTX and the normal one, and they're just all super bright. So maybe I'll just have to start wearing sunglasses playing the build. That's it for this part of the build guide. There will be a full build guide come out when I'm got gear that I think is capable of clearing all the content in the game. So it might be a week before that comes together because I'm working and other stuff to do. So I won't be able to do like 8 or 9 hours a day on the game. That's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and see you in the next one.